What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another review, and this one's for, as you can see, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 30th anniversary special called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always, and it's an appropriate title because it also connects to the little heart tugging tribute they had at the end of this special. This is a Netflix. This was brought to us by Netflix, who I think got got the rights to the Power Ranger franchise and stuff. So not only this, but the whole Power Ranger franchise did the new Power Ranger show is also going to be debuting on Netflix. But Power Rangers Once and Always is a direct sequel to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers franchise. This is not like the team up. This is not like a special team up episode where the current Rangers team up with the old heads. No, this is a direct sequel. This is all of this, as it said. This is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This is a more edgier. I want to say like super edgier, but this is a little bit. I would say just a little bit edgier because they use the words kill instead of destroy. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna get to why they said that in a minute. This is about the fact that somehow, some way, and you do find out later on how this happens, but somehow, some way, Rita Repulsa has returned, and what I mean they do explain it. They do explain, like, if you know your Power Ranger, Mighty Morphin Power Ranger history, they go into all that. They go into the whole, they do talk about how it's possible after Zordon's cosmic energy sacrifice thing that not only spread his particles and destroy all evil and stuff. They go into all that. There's an explanation for all of that, and they even show you how it came back. But we get to see the lives of the Power Rangers after so many years. Billy has his own company now. And as you can expect, it's no shocker that it's a tech company. So it's no shocker who was the ones who was able to get the Morphin the Morphin grid, back up and running, and get the Morphers back up and operational. And for those of you who forgot, who's asking yourself, what do you mean back up and operational? If you remember, once, when they transitioned from Mighty Morphin to Zeo, Rita and Zed had destroyed the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers' powers. That's why they had to go to Zeo, because they could no longer be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers because their powers and everything was destroyed by Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa themselves. The command center, all that was destroyed. So all that, and now 30 years later, all that's rebuilt. The powers, the Zords, everything is back. And Billy, it's basically Billy and Alpha who has a hand in that. I feel like that's not a spoiler because I think that's obvious that it was Billy and Alpha, and that had a hand in rebuilding everything. But so basically, this is about a tragedy, right? You've been hearing it's a tragedy. Yes, there is a tragedy, and yes, you already seen what that tragedy is in the trailer. That tragedy is the Yellow Ranger Trini crime. Trini, Rita, who upset Billy does something to upset Rita to where to where Rita tries to Rita, it says in her new body has a lot more energy this time, and then she said this energy allows her to do a spell that kills, and she shoot, as you see in the trailer, she shoots that energy at Billy, but Trini would take the hit for Billy, and thus there go the Yellow Ranger Trini, and for the first time in the franchise of the Power Rangers, and the first time in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers specifically, this is the first time they actually had to deal with not just a hurt Ranger. They dealt with hurt Rangers being hurt before, but this is different. This is the first time that their enemy actually succeeded, and not only hurting the Ranger but destroying them completely, and that's what happened. Now, according to, I wanted to mention this, according to original Pink Ranger, and the reason why I mentioned it because this goes into what we saw in this, what you see in the show, and this, by the way, this special is a 55 to 60, basically an hour. It's like basically an hour of your time special. It's like a 1 hour episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And you get this, the original Pink Ranger, Amy Jo Johnson, she revealed that originally, this is why, like, if you look at the poster, it only shows them. It only shows the Blue Ranger, the Black Ranger, the Pink Ranger, and the Red Ranger, because those are the actors who showed up, but it's not the original ones. And she revealed that herself, Austin St. John, who plays Jason, and Tommy and Jason David Frank, aka Tommy Oliver, they was all asked to reprise their role. Now, this was made before the untimely death of Jason David Frank. And this was made before Jason David Frank. Before his death, and it was possible for him to show up in here, but because he didn't, I think Amy Jo Johnson said she revealed that all three of them turned it down, so that's why they got they brought back Rocky, they brought Catherine back to be the Pink Ranger, they brought Rocky back to be the Red Ranger. But the Rangers that you see in the beginning, when you see the Green Ranger stuff, that's actually, even though the original actors are not there, when you see Billy and them tape, in that trailer, where you see all of them facing off against Rita, the Green Ranger, the Pink Ranger, and the Red Ranger are Tommy, that are in spirit, and the characters underneath the mask are Tommy, Jason, and Kimberly. And the way how they do it, the way how they incorporate, it's all to say this, they incorporate the way how they incorporate why you don't see why the whole throughout the thing is not Billy, it's not Jason, Tommy, and Kimberly. It's a way they do it, how they write them out of the show. It's interesting because the way how they explain how their absence is the way how they incorporate other Rangers from different teams. And it actually goes into Rita's plan. Rita's plan is a way that they use it as a way to write why certain Rangers didn't show up. Why, if they did show up, they show up only in this form. So once Rita's plan is in motion, they're down three members. They're down the Green Ranger, they're down the Red Ranger, and Pink Ranger. Obviously, Trinity's daughter has been trained to take over as the Yellow Ranger, but she's not ready. She wants vengeance. She wants to destroy Rita, right? Um, I'm trying to see. When they initiate this protocol, because by the time they get to this protocol, it's 1 year later. They do that. They do a 1 year later time skip, and you see that someone has become the guardian of Trinity's daughter. I won't tell you which ranger, but the majority of this once and always is centered around Zach and Billy until Rocky and Catherine comes in. And what's nice to know that I didn't pick up on that. Like the last time they brought Tommy back for those specials, I didn't pick up on the fact that because you knew that Tommy was a father. We knew that Tommy became a father. He got children. What I didn't know was that his wife was Catherine. So as a continuation from the series, Tommy went on to marry Catherine and had children with her. Because that it was, I didn't realize until here when Catherine basically called Tommy when looking at Tommy or talking about Tommy, she calls him her husband. So I was like, oh, so that's who. I think he might have probably said it in the other specials, but I didn't. That was just a thing I never picked up on. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's cool. So he ended up. I knew it was either Kimberly or Catherine, but I never really paid attention to who he ended up with, and he ended up with Catherine. But yes, so Catherine. It was personal for Catherine because she wanted to get their son's father back. And it was personal for Trinity's daughter because she wanted revenge for Trinity's death, and that's basically the premise of the stopping Rita's plan, which you saw in the trailers, is trying to go to the past and undo the Rangers and everything, and and thus you get your little cheesy Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episode, and it was good. For the most part, it was good. I like the new updated Morphin sequence, which is I thought it was like, most people thought it'd be something like how they did with Adam when he returned in that Operation Overdrive episode, where it'd be something similar to that. But no, they went old school classic. It was just updated. Where now when it's Morphin time, they call they Zord names, and just like an updated, more fresher look, updated version of that. But then that's when we get into only thing I guess it was done on purpose. It was just I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but the once you get into the Morphin sequence and then the Megazords, it was like, oh man, that was so heavy CGI, to where it was cheesy 90s CG. It was bad fun, good CGI. So I don't know if they did it on purpose, but it was noticeable. It was like, oh man, that looks bad. But I'm enjoying the show anyway. So I still debate whether I'm gonna take a point away from that. But the one thing I'm disappointed about was that Amy Jo Johnson, I think they said for Amy Jo Johnson, this is like her 100th time denying not wanting to come back. I think the last time she said yes to coming back was when the Turbo Ranger movie. But this is her 100th time denying. I was upset that they all denied to come back, and really the dude who played Jason, after he just returned, but I guess because he just agreed to return for that one special, he didn't want to keep returning, So, but I really wish they would have returned so we could at least see, even in the spirit of that, one Ranger couldn't return because she was already gone. She's already, she's been gone since 2001. So it's like, and I would hope that they all would band together at least for her. But in the end, it still was a good watch. It actually deal with some heartbreaking emotions, some growth within the characters. We get to see some old school areas, and we get to see some flashbacks to some old school Power Ranger episodes, especially when it came to training. And then the touching, like I said, at the end there's a tribute to the fallen Rangers. Thai Kwan and Jason David Frank. There's and it was a good tribute because this is the only time you actually see, and because it's a flashback scene. The tribute is a flashback scene of Kimberly. You remember, if you remember us old school heads, if you remember, there's a episode where she sings a song, and Zach, Billy, Tommy, Jason, and Trini, they all sitting there at the hangout spot, and they listening to her sing this song. It's about being together and always being there for one another and appreciate. It's a touching song, and that was the little tribute at the end. And then they don't play like the whole. They play a little bit of it, and then the screen cuts to black white. The song plays in the background, and then the pictures of Jason, David, Frank, and Di Kwan pops up, and then once and always. And then once they said once a Ranger, always a Ranger. No, that's it. That said, then you heard that in the trailer from Rocky and Cat. When they said once a Ranger, always a Ranger, and then it says again for them too. Overall, this was a good hour of your time. For old school fans like me, who grew up watching the original show, this was it was a cheesy good time. Bad CGI aside, it was a cheesy good time. I loved it for what it was. It was cool seeing for the first. This is like the first time Zach and Billy, their actors themselves to return. So that's why I said this was a rare moment because we haven't seen Zach or Billy return as Rangers for the and we seen Mighty Morphin Power Rangers return in multiple specials, but we never seen them actually return. This was a good return for them, and I would have loved to see Amy Jo Johnson follow suit, but now we won't get the opportunity, but yeah, this was a good special. I'm going to give it it wasn't a perfect 10. And I want to give it a 9, but I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Big up, just because not that anything was wrong with it. Like, I'm not even going to take a point away from the cheesy CGI stuff, because it is what it was, and it goes with the cheesiness and the quirkiness. Like some of the lines and stuff, we would cringe. But that's pretty much what the show was, so I get that slide. I just gave it. I felt like if that aside, it wasn't a 10 or a 9, but it was definitely an 8. It was above a 7, a 6 and 7, so I gave it an 8. But you let me know in the comments down below if you watched it without spoiling it. What you thought of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 30th anniversary, once and always. And if you enjoyed this review, you hit this button right there for all of mine. Movie/TV show reviews. And if you enjoyed this review so much and want to support the channel, you know what to do, guys. Hit those buttons. And as always, hitting one of these videos. For more of my amazing content, to go anywhere, I got reactions and some more Evil West. And I know eventually I'm going to play Resident Evil 4. That's coming very soon. So, peace.